Everyone, I hope you are very good. So I'm Veronique and I'm going to speak to the Scope International Society YouTube channel. So today the aim of this video is going to be focused on Trade International and understanding the meaning of what is the Incoterm. We're going to speak about the terrorist side and I will make a brief summary of road, sea and air freights. So to demonstrate how business can have a strategy to implement the supply chains from the start of the point to the end of the point, so the inbound to the outbound. So let me start. So before to start this, have been studying in the past in the school in Paris, the school in F15. So I've been there for 1 year. This university, it's a very practical university because it prepare you straight away to be ready to the market. You are many professionals who already have the driving career, those who are already driver, so they are really already have knowledge about the world of transport, freight providers, and also air freight and sea freight. They really these courses are mainly practical because they mainly made us to be ready to the market. So after being graduated at Huddersfield University, I did 1 year in that courses at FPT in Paris. To be honest, it was a really deep courses. So I went there and I did it. So today I'm going to give a summary and a practical teaching about the Trade International, especially for the Incoterm. So this is two books. Those books are in French. You can find that in English. I believe that you can find it in English. It's called in Transporter Class Export Magazines Practical Trade Internationals. So it said the guide of reference of transportation, logistics and supply chains. And this book it's from epnet.fr. So you can find this book, this example to epnet.fr. And this one it's also is for Trade International, is class exports vid mecum for Trade International. I'm sure you can find it for an example in English, so I will believe that you can find it your what you're looking for. So it is a very good book because it's actually show you and demonstrate you how the strategy, how you can make a strategy to a business in terms of oversee financially, trade and international transportations, customs, and law, and also security for the way that you make any payment. So this is for this book. And for class of transportation, it's really focused on explain you everything how the transportation is managed. So you can see here. So let me start it with the Incoterm. As I said, I'm going to speak about the Incoterm. So the definition of Incoterm means is determine to whom the buyer and seller will be responsible for the packaging cost or verification of the goods, transportation, insurance of import and export, custom formality, as well as the duty and tax. So I'm repeating again, the Incoterm determine to whom the seller or buyer will be responsible for the packaging cost of verifications of the goods, transportations, insurance and import and export custom and formality, as well as export duty and tax. So this is mainly what is made. So I'm going to give you an example of how a transportation can made from point to point by using different Incoterm. As you can see on this example, I'm going to speak about the different lists of Incoterm. So let me start it about all this now that everyone can understand it. So I'm starting with the Incoterm, which is determine the repair cost. So it's a focus on the following transportations. is following the transport of fluvial and maritime and transport multimodal. And the following, I'm going to start with the following free free or free on board. So let me start with FAS. FAS and Cotam. FAS and Cotam. So the FAS and Cotam means loading costs on board to ship. So on ship, okay. So I'm there. I repeat, the FAS is loading costs on board the ship, and starting from the cost of borne by the sailor. So the costs are borne by the sailor are responsible for the costs borne by the sailor, which means that the sailor is responsible for the packagings, is responsible for the porting controller, is responsible for routing, and also is responsible for the custom formality exports, and its responsibility stop at the end of the money handling. So I repeated, the FAS, the loading cost, the loading cost on board the ships means the following. The responsibility of the sailor is the following: is as the responsibility for the FS, the packagings to the handling of consignation to the terminal that the good has made. So if you have an example here from the course that I made, so I have some example made into a paper of working. So this is an example FAS. You can see this FAS. So the FAS, as I say, the sailor is responsible for the pre-acheminement. So the pre-acheminement. So it's the pre-routing, is responsible for the pre-routing, and stop at the pre-routing is responsibilities for the pre-routing. Then we carry on with the buyer responsibility. The buyer responsibility started from the routing places, and then is responsible for the cost of transportations and the cost of transportations. Then we stop to the entrance. So between those two, neither for one nor for the other, they are not responsible for the insurance of transportations. There is not any insurance that has been set in. When you use FAS, you don't have any insurance through the transportation. So following that, we found out that from the handling to the group pages to the consolidations, we are going to the custom formality documents, then the routing at the shipment receptions, and then the routing at the loading to the manufacturer at the end. And this is for the responsibility of the buyer. So the buyer is responsible for the transportations principle, the cost of transportations, and then loading at the ports, and it's responsible from there into to the manufacturer. So the through as it going to by sea, because FAS is sea transportations, so it's responsible for that. So let me start again. FAS is loading costs on board the ship. So the sailor is responsible from the packaging by the time it pack to the pre-routing, when the good has arrived to the pre-routing of the platform. So that the buyer is responsible from the loading consolidation to the terminal, and the cost of transportation. Between those two, there are not any insurance including to them. And then from as there is no insurance on it, The buyer is responsible from the port of handling where the groupage has been made. It's responsible for the import tax, export, import, and the pre-acheminement, the acheminement, and the routing at the port to the shipment places and then to the loading places. So this is the FSS. So the buyer is it has to delivering the goods, and the good has to be already custom, and the pre-routing has been put in place in dispositions to the seller, to the buyer, and is put in dispositions for the right through the platforms where the shipment platform, and then the buyers at the port of loading will at the port loading will loading the goods. Then the transfers of costs, the transfers costs are made by when the transfer of cost is made when the buyer are put in dispositions the good to the buyers along to the boards which is designed by the buyer. And the transfer of risk is the transfer of risk when the buyer put in dispositions to when the seller put into the disposition of the buyer the goods abroad the board designed by the buyer. And commentary is the following: you cannot buy any goods counternised if the good is counternised. You must use the FCA. So the good must be counternised. You cannot use this Ecotem when the good is counternised. If the good is under counternised, you must using the Ecotem FCA. It's the third party transportation which is going to make it broad to the load and Ecotem and secure and put in security the good. So sometimes the buyers actually using the Ecotem FOB.